everybody, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about masculine versus feminine energy versus goddess energy, what it means to embody feminine or goddess energy, and what you're doing already and what you might want to add to your life to embody it more. If you're new to energy at all, this is a great place to start. It's going to be quick and simple ways to identify the different types of energy and what you bring to the table. So let's jump right into it. Masculine and feminine energy, everybody has them regardless of your gender. If you're the most feminine, if you're the most masculine, you have both of those types of energy. They're present in all individuals regardless of your gender. So first of all, the difference between masculine and feminine, I think that we all kind of know it intuitively, what it means to be masculine versus feminine. But by definition, masculine is assertive. It's action-oriented, it's logic, it's goal-driven. Think doing. That is the best word to describe masculine energy, doing. It is doing something, it is protecting, it's providing. You're out there working, where feminine energy is more receptive, intuitive, nurturing, compassionate, empathetic. Think of the word being, very sensual, feeling, whether it's emotions or literal physical touch. Those are the qualities between masculine and feminine. So if I had to pick one key word for each, masculine is doing and feminine is being. So very present-minded on the feminine side and very action-oriented and going to do stuff on the masculine side. Both energies are very necessary, and they complement each other, and they create a harmonious relationship and balance within all individuals, and we really need all of the energy. So neither energy is more important than the other. It's really just that if you are born a female and you live a female life and you feel kind of stressed out, not as at peace, it might help you to kind of get back to your roots of your feminine energy. It can provide a lot of peace by living in the energy that you're born in. Not saying you'll never have masculine moments or that at certain times your masculine energy is not needed, but to come back to that feminine place can provide a lot of peace. And same with a man who lives a man life. If he feels like he's been sown his emotions and he just needs to get out there and do something and get back to his masculine energy to provide himself some of that peace and comfort, it's not that you always have to live like this, but it's good for a anchoring point to know where you should land and where you can feel good. And for me, feeling feminine and embodying feminine energy is really important. And I think a lot of people and a lot of the space on this talks about like, you have to smell good and wear good perfume and do your nails and wear glamorous jewelry or something. And all of that's very important and exciting, but it has nothing really to do with your energy. Your energy is something that comes from within you, inside of you, and that might be reflected in your physical appearance, but that's not it. You can have a very masculine woman wearing all the makeup in the world. So it's a lot more than what this space really talks about. It's more than just getting your nails done. That is a part of it. So I want to just run through a few tips on how you can embrace your feminine energy and embody your feminine energy and what it means to be in your feminine energy. So tip number 1, cultivating deep self-awareness, a deep understanding of your own energy dynamics, identifying areas where feminine energy can be further nurtured. So understanding where you lack, where you're strong. Self-awareness comes from taking feedback from people who know you best. So ask your grandma, ask your best friend, have a journal. Be really aware of who you are, what your emotional state is, how you're affected. I know when I go to work, I feel this type of way when this person talks to me. Just having that awareness about yourself. You're not taking any action. You're just very aware. So cultivating a deep self-awareness about yourself. Tip number 2, honoring your emotions, which leads to your intuition. So I think a really classic example of masculine energy would be a guy who feels some type of way and he goes, oh, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm not going to cry today. And he's being in his masculine energy because he's not going to honor his emotions that are coming up because he's got to go do stuff. A feminine energy lets those emotions arise, trust those emotions, feels those emotions, say it's okay to feel that emotion. I am going to cry. This makes me feel like I think this is hilarious. I'm going to laugh. That makes me sad. Letting all of your emotions arise and not judging them, feeling them proudly. And I think these emotions is what leads you to your intuition. Your intuition is so emotion. It's just a feeling inside of you, right? When you feel your intuition speaking to you, it's just a feeling. So if you're constantly pushing your feelings down, then that divine feminine intuition, which females have a way stronger intuition than males, and this is why, is because we feel a lot more. We're more in tune with what everyone has. Every human has that intuition, that third eye, the thing in the back of your mind, the thing in your gut. It's speaking to you, but often we just push away all of our emotions. And with that comes that spirit voice. The voice is telling you to do something, that intuitive feeling. So if you're constantly honoring your emotions, you're going to know them so well that your intuition is going to speak loudly and clearly to you. So allow yourself to feel and trust your intuition as a guiding force. Going off emotion doesn't mean you're emotional and you're erratic and you cry all the time. It just means letting your emotions arise, observing them, feeling them, and listen for your intuition more. Tip number 3. Embracing self-care rituals. So I guess this is where like the makeup and the hair and all that comes from. But self-care is a lot more holistic than that. Self-care is from physical. So yes, wash your hair, get a facial, get your nails done, do your skincare routine. That's super fun. That's such a small part of it though. That's your physical self. Work out. Take time to sweat. Get your sleep. Drink your water. Take a long time to make a meal. Go to the farmer's market instead of delivering it on Amazon and pick out your own vegetables. It is taking time for your self-care. So that could mean taking a long time to get ready. We know how long that takes. That could mean taking a long time to make a smoothie instead of going to the store and picking one up. Meditating, carving out space for yourself, for deep self-reflection, prayer, reading, learning something new, learning about yourself. Though self-care is a lot more than what's your nighttime skin routine. Great and fun, but not what it means on a feminine energy level. Self-care is from top to bottom, your spirit, your heart, your mind, of course your skin and your hair and your physical self. So much more than that. Take care of yourself. And take the time to do that, having those rituals, so incorporating practices that replenish and restore your energy. Meditation, journaling, self-reflection, DIY face mask at home, a long bath. There's so many ways to take care of yourself, and we're so blessed to live in this world where there's so many options, and the physical part of it is really fun, and I definitely partake in that as well. But there's so much more to self-care. So really carving the time out to take care of yourself. Tip number 4, emphasizing creativity. This one's really hard for me because I'm not very creative. I'm not a person who paints or draws or sings or anything like that, but you try to engage in activities that kind of foster self-expression and creativity, like art, writing, dancing, singing, crochet, beadwork, macrame, I don't know, something that's kind of baking, making your loved ones a meal. I love home decor, organizing your desk, gardening, something with your hands, something that you can get a little dirty with, make a dresser, sand your new desk, whatever it is, something that gets you in that creative spirit, that you put your mind into colors and feeling. And what those activities offer is you removing yourself from time and being very present-minded. And being present-minded is very feminine energy, very being. You're just here now, be here now. And that is what feminine energy is. So when you're dancing and you're singing and you're painting, you kind of remove yourself from time and you're just in the present moment feeling that. And that's what's super special about it. So find something that works for you. I personally am trying to pick up gardening. I love yoga, which it does keep me in the present minded. It's not very creative. I love home decor. I love organizing little spaces and like a little nook on my desk and things like that. So I love being creative in that type of way. I love cooking. I love making healthy desserts. So something that I'm making allows you to be creative. And women, we create babies, we create life, and we have that in our bodies, in our womb. And that creative force needs to be expressed to really feel in that feminine energy. So I think as creative as you can get, and if you're blessed in artistry, more power to you. And that's very exciting. And don't lose sight of that. Really focus in on emphasizing your creativity. Tip number 5, prioritize relationships and connection. This one can also be a little tough because I'm a bit of an introvert, but this is about fostering your connections, fostering deep connections with others. And what this does is nurtures those feminine qualities like empathy, compassion, and understanding. So when you're constantly surrounding yourself with people who are calling you for advice, and you're chatting with your grandma and your mom and your best friend and your neighbor, you're able to listen, empathize, and understand, and nurture, and say, how are you doing? And be genuine about it, because you're embodying that feminine quality of mom-like attitude. How are you? I care about you. And when you have a deep connection with someone, you're able to really step into that role. And if you're not around a lot of people a lot, then it's hard to practice those qualities. You can extend that to yourself for so long, but you really need to practice it on other people. So taking time with all of your relationships and calling people and really listening to them instead of blabbing to them, understanding them, giving them compassion, and fostering those connections. Tip number 6, which is tough. I think the toughest but most important part of embodying femininity, cultivating vulnerability. I think we grow up in a strong, independent woman type of thing, which is great. A lot of us are super strong and very independent, but it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to need help, and saying, hey, how are you doing? I'm not okay. Not saying I'm fine when you're not, which, hello, I do that all the time, but really being okay with not being okay, and being okay sharing when you are okay, being vulnerable, being honest and open and fostering authenticity and being genuine and fostering that emotional connection. Because when you're vulnerable, that's where that emotional connection comes from, and that's where that's how you can foster those relationships we were talking about before, by being vulnerable. Here's what's going on with me today. And the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. And actually, you can see why it's so beneficial and why so many people do it, is because it's fun. And it's a great way to learn about people. Like, how great is it when someone tells you something about them? Like, they have this experience and you're like, wow, thanks for sharing. It's a genuine feeling. Thanks for sharing. And be one of those people who share. Be vulnerable. And it's okay to need help. It's okay. And it attracts a lot of men too when you're vulnerable, I think too. And I think it just puts your guard down a little bit, opens up your heart, opens up your chest, allows you to embody that feminine energy. And my last tip, number 7, embodiment practices. I think being, like we said, being is the word of femininity, being, embodiment. So women are very sensual, whether it's like wearing a fluffy sweater and you touch it and you're like, oh, this feels really good. That's like an embodiment practice right there, just feeling how fluffy your sweatshirt is, and that feels really good. But more intensely than that, like yoga is you're in your body, you're concentrating on your body, breathing in and breathing out. You're moving with your breath. Like a vinyasa is really a great place to start with that. Dance, you're getting out of time and into your body and feeling through your body. Breath work is the same kind of thing as yoga. You want to embrace your sensual nature. So wear a fuzzy sweater. I don't know. Put your toes in the sand and really like feel it, meditate on embodiment of that. So those are my 7 tips for embodying feminine energy. I hope that's helpful, but I think the last layer I want to touch base on here is goddess energy. And goddess energy, feminine energy can kind of come off a little weak. Like people are like, she's very feminine, like haha. And like, especially a lot of folks who are like transitioning to women and they're trying to be a woman when they're born a man. They go like, I'm going to be giggly and funny and haha, I'm a woman and I feel so fun and free. Great. But like, women aren't just like giggly, vulnerable, crying, emotional, erratic people. There's a lot of strength to being a woman. And I think that's why goddess energy specifically is so important over feminine energy. So feminine energy is the basis of it, but like a layer on top of that is goddess energy. Goddess energy is like an archetype representing feminine power and wisdom. Like you think of goddesses in mythology or something. It's like Aphrodite, Athena, I don't know, Cleopatra, Marilyn Monroe, I don't know. Maybe not Marilyn Monroe, but people who have used their womanhood, their super strong, sensual, feminine power in a position of leadership. When we think leaders, we think a man who leads with fear and you do this because I'm stronger than you. And that has worked a long time. That has how our world has run for a long time. But that's not how it needs to be done. You know, tapping into your intuition and your kind of divine feminine power, leaning into all those qualities we just talked about. But how does that translate into being a leader? So, you know, embracing your self-love. Of course, we talked about that. Embracing yourself, having a lot of self-awareness, tapping into your intuition and your inner wisdom, because we have that very good intuition, which comes from the sky above. So how much of a leader could you be if you have tapped into that inner wisdom? It's an amazing gift that women have. Embodying your divine femininity, so embodying all those qualities we just talked about, but embracing your sensuality, your grace, and your elegance, and honoring your own boundaries. That can be very strong. Cultivate your nurturing qualities like love and compassion and empathy and support to yourself and to others. Your creative power, which we talked about. You can be extremely creative. The power of collaboration, working well with others. But really, I think the key here, the difference between feminine and goddess, is stepping into leadership. So you embody confidence, grace, while leading not with masculine traits, but with compassion and with empathy. And I'm telling you, mark my words, in the next 100 years, we're going to see a lot more women leaders not trying to be men and not out-manning a man, but leaning so hard into their femininity that they become amazing leaders. And that's what I love so much about goddess energy, is that it's feminine energy, but it takes away that weakness that sometimes it's correlated to. It can be, there's a lot of strength in feminine energy. If you use your feminine energy to not outman a man in a leadership position, but to use your feminine energy so much that you're able to lead a group of people just with love, compassion, understanding, empathy. The battle might take a little longer, but I think it's a stronger it's a stronger place to lead from. And mothers do it. Mothers are amazing leaders. They're just not as loud and vocal and monkey-like about it, you know, big masculine, like bang on your chest type vibe, but it's a very beautiful place to lean in. And I think what women have wrong right now is leaning into the masculine traits and trying to lead from there, when really you should just lead from the beautiful traits that God has given you as a woman. And it's so fun to be able to lean into all those beautiful traits and then still be able to be a leader. So think about that. Think about how you can embody those feminine traits, but then step it up to a goddess level. And that's what I'm working on. I hope this video helped a little. Let me know in the comments below what you think and how you embody feminine and goddess energy. Thanks so much for tuning in. Talk to you soon.